All right, let's get right into it. The Iranian economy is in a state of near total paralysis. We're going to break down exactly how this happened, and it all starts with the one thing that tells the entire story. It's currency. This is the number that really matters right now. 1.75 million. That's how many Iranian rials it now takes to buy a single US dollar on the open market. I mean, to put that in perspective, the rial has lost pretty much all of its value since 1979. We're talking about it depreciating by a factor of nearly 20,000. It's just staggering. Now, what's really wild here is the sheer speed of this collapse. We are not talking about a slow, steady decline. This was a catastrophic 30% plunge in just 24 hours. This is what a hyperinflationary death spiral looks like, unfolding in real time. So, what kicked this whole thing off? Well, it was triggered by two huge events that happened back to back. First, the joint U.S.-Israeli military strikes that began on February 28th, and second, the confirmed death of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei right in the middle of those strikes. And here's the crucial point. The government's usual playbook is totally useless now. For years, they've used what analysts call news therapy, making calming statements to try and manage market panic. But after the strikes, that failed completely. Confidence that the rial could hold any value has it's evaporated. But to really understand the panic on the ground, you have to look past the currency markets. We can actually get a live map of what's happening inside the country just by looking at what Iranians themselves are searching for online. And this table tells a heck of a story. It shows the whole population shifting into pure survival mode. Look at this. Searches for unemployment benefits have spiked as businesses are forced to lay people off. At the same time, the market for any kind of long-term loan, like a mortgage, has completely vanished. I mean, nobody's lending. And who would want a loan in a currency that's becoming worthless by the hour? So this brings us to a really interesting puzzle. If businesses are failing all over the place, why aren't people searching for how to declare bankruptcy? You'd expect that search term to be going through the roof. Well, the answer shows you just how broken the system really is. Business owners aren't even bothering with a formal legal process. The system is so paralyzed that they're just locking their doors, abandoning their shops, and trying to get their hands on whatever physical cash they can to survive. And this is the human cost behind all that data. An online clothing seller in Tehran saw her sales drop to absolute zero after the government shut down the internet. She had to lay off her workers, sell her equipment, and shut everything down in less than a week. That isn't a business downturn. That is a complete and total wipeout. So you see, all of this builds into a complete freeze of the domestic banking and labor markets. This isn't just about the currency anymore. The entire internal economic machine has seized up. $50 trillion. That's the estimated daily loss to the wider Iranian economy in rials, just from the government's internet blackout. This shutdown isn't just about silencing dissent. It's actively destroying what's left of the digital economy and crippling countless small businesses. Now think about this. $30. That is the maximum amount of cash that many banks are unofficially letting customers withdraw per day. That's about 30 to 50 million rials. And that's a big if. That's if the local bank branch even has physical banknotes, because many are running out on a daily basis thanks to all the hoarding and panic. And here is just how fragile the whole foundation is. According to the Central Bank of Iran's own criteria, only 9 banks in the entire country are considered solvent. The rest of the financial system is effectively bankrupt, and it's only being propped up by the state. So you might be wondering, how does this domestic collapse in Iran actually impact the rest of the world? Well, it is all about the aftershocks. This crisis is not contained. It is sending shockwaves through global financial markets. This timeline just shows how fast everything escalated. Over a single weekend, the region went from high tension to open conflict to a leadership vacuum, a currency collapse, and a direct threat to one of the world's most critical energy choke points. This, as you'd expect, triggered an immediate flight to safety in global markets. What we're seeing is a classic heaven first, ask questions later strategy playing out. Investors are just piling into traditional safe assets. Gold has surged over 22% this year, and the Swiss franc? It's become a primary refuge, gaining globally and trading for over 2.1 million rials inside Iran itself. And this is the ultimate risk for the global economy. After the strikes, Iran's IRGC Navy issued formal warnings against any maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. Weaponizing this choke point threatens a massive portion of the world's daily oil supply, which could easily trigger a worldwide energy crisis and a huge spike in inflation. Which leaves us with the critical question for investors and policymakers alike. Was the collapse of the Iranian Rial just another geopolitical flare-up that markets will eventually digest? Or are we witnessing the start of a fundamental economic realignment, one with consequences that will ripple across the globe for years to come?